Hello lovelies, how are you all today? I hope you're well. I'm so looking forward to what I'm about to make. It's new to me. I'm having a go for the first time. I've tweaked it a little bit. This is a recipe that has been sent to me by Michelle over in the States. I'm not sure where she got it from, but it's a Greek recipe. And I just love my Greek food, absolutely adore it. As soon as I started to look at the ingredients, I thought, oh my goodness, this is for me. And then I was thinking, what is it about Greek and actually pretty much all Mediterranean food that I love so much? Basically, it uses all the ingredients I like. Onions, garlic, tomatoes, beans, aubergines, chickpeas, oil, olives, lemons, capers. Gosh, I love these things, absolutely love them. And I think one of the other things I love about a lot of Mediterranean food is it's what we might think of or call peasant food, which is a bit of a naughty name really, isn't it? Because I'm not a peasant, but this is the kind of food I make. It's simple stuff. It's stuff fresh straight from the garden or from the mountainside or from the sea. It's what's available locally and in season, and sometimes not in season but stuff that has stored really well. So think of all those dried beans and bottled tomatoes. So it kind of goes without saying, Mediterranean food from pretty much so many countries is going to suit both my palate, my gardening style, my harvesting and food preserving, storing style. There's some Mediterranean blood in me, obviously. So, today's meal, I've got to think of a name for it. I think I'm going to call it Gigantes beans and chard casserole. Shall we have a look at the gorgeous ingredients? Yes, let's look quickly so I can start cooking. Beautiful, simple, wholesome, straight out of the garden or out of the larder from the stored produce. Oh, wonderful. So I'm going to use an onion and some garlic. I shall be adding in a load of herbs. This is actually more of a herb Provence mix. I don't have any thyme in this, and actually when I'm thinking about Greek food I would normally add thyme, so I'm going to add this instead, which I'll talk about in a minute. A little bit of paprika just to give it a little bit of warmth through. This is a portion of tomatoes. These have come out of the freezer. I try to use frozen stuff first rather than either dried or bottled, so that if the freezer breaks down, hopefully there's not as much in it. So it's about the equivalent of a tin of tomatoes, which I think is probably about 400 grams a tin, I think. Then one of the stars of the show with Gigantes beans. I mean, look at the size of it. It's huge. My hands are really, really big. I can't even begin to... Oh, maybe I can give you a bit of a size comparison. Look, there's the bean, there's the onion. Massive. Gigantes by name, Gigantes by how they come out. So again, these are some of my frozen ones. There's about, I would say there's probably about 250, 300 grams there or so. So these, they actually freeze quite well. Get them when they're sort of at that demi-sec stage. So when they're good and plump in the pod, but before the pod shows signs of drying out. A couple of them I've obviously picked when they're slightly more green. I don't know if that shows up. Let's find a really green, there we go, that'll be a good contrast. Can you see the one on the right is a bit more green? So I think this must have been some of the last ones, because it was a really late season last year, and normally I'd let that type grow a bit more. Anyway, so that's my Gigantes, and then the other star of the show is a big lovely bunch of chard I've just picked. Just look at the colours in the stalks, isn't that gorgeous. Obviously this all needs a bit of a trim and a wash still, but I would say that that's also about 250 grams, or what, big handful. How many stalks? I don't know, shall I count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, about 14 stalks there of the chard. Yum, yum, yum. And then into the tomato, I'm also going to add about a couple of 100 mils of hot water. You could add stock. Now, as I was saying, I don't have any time, but what I do have is another favourite of mine. This beautiful thing. I only know it as mountain tea. Basically, pretty much anywhere you are in Greece, if you ask for mountain tea, they'll know what you're talking about. So for my couple of 100 mils of water, I'm actually going to make up some mountain tea to add in the absence of time. That'll give me my really, really gorgeous Greek flavour to it. It's a lovely herb. It's really good for sort of soothing sore throats, and if you've got a bit of a cold brewing, yeah, brew up a pot and sip all afternoon on it. Right, so there's our lovely ingredients. Let's get chopping and cooking. Okay, let's get started. So there's not much by way of prep in terms of before I actually start, because with the chard I'm going to do that in a minute while this is bubbling. So it's, in theory, I reckon from beginning to serving, it's going to take about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. I hope it doesn't take much longer because I'll be starving. So a couple of good glugs of olive oil. Obviously it's got to be olive oil, hasn't it? Unfortunately I'm using French olive oil, not Greek. Oh, I didn't get that very hot to start with. So into the olive oil, onions and garlic, and I'm going to just sweat for 5 or 10 minutes or so. In the meantime, I've just boiled the kettle, so I've got my mountain tea in my jar, so I'm just going to get that steeping straight away, so that'll have hopefully a good sort of 5 to 10 minutes to steep. Just a couple 100 mils. The smell straight away, gorge. Okay, so onions and garlic are in sweating. I've got my tea steeping. Obviously, like I was saying earlier, if you don't have any mountain tea, this is just my own personal take on it. Don't worry, just use a bit of either stock or water. I'm also going to get on pretty much straight away when that water comes to the boil. I'm going to get the beans into the boil. So these are going to need, because they're so big, sorry, excuse me, frog in my throat, they're going to need, or at least I would have thought, 20 minutes. So I'll give them 20 minutes initially, and then I'll do a little bit of a bite test. Obviously if you're using dried, you will have soaked them overnight and then you'll give them a boil for, I'd say with Gigantes, you probably need to boil them for 2.5 hours because they are so big. So it's a case of sort of trying to get as much going at the same time, so then I can then step away and start chopping up the lovely chard. What I didn't mention a second ago, it's just so beautiful, isn't it, is if you don't have chard in your garden anymore, if it's all finished and done with, instead of the chard, why not use dandelion leaves? Because the dandelion leaves are starting to come. That'd be gorgeous. You could also do it with quite a robust spinach, not little baby spinach because that's going to wilt too much, but with some good robust spinach, like I say. But like I say, if all else fails, just go with the dandelions. Actually, let's just turn that down a little bit. Okay, they're going to need another few minutes, so I will catch up with you when this is on the boil and this has had a bit more time to sweat. Right then, we're all systems go. So the onions have had a nice bit of a sweat down, onions and garlic should I say. My bean water is now up to the boil. Oh. those giant babies in. They really are extraordinarily large, aren't they? I'm wondering how many of you have tried growing them by now. Was last year my second or third year with them, I can't remember. Anyway, once you've tried them once, I don't think there's any going back. So, just maybe half a teaspoon of paprika. Just infuse it with a little bit of warmth. So I'm just going to get that going with the onions for a minute, just so it will start to release its gorgeousness. Oh, I thought for a minute my light had blown out. I've got the window open. It is quite a windy, rainy. It's a bit of a grotty day, if I'm honest, but it's the perfect kind of day for making a gorgeous Greek bean casserole. Okay, now let's get the tomatoes in. I'll give this bowl a swoosh around with, this is my tea that I've now steeped, my mountain herb tea. Gorgeous colour. Obviously that's got a little bit of the tomato colour to it, but it does come up this sort of beautiful pale sort of honey, sort of somewhere between yellow and orange. And now literally all I'm going to do with this is simmer it for about 20 to 30 minutes and get it nicely reduced. And the great thing about this now is obviously these beans are going to sit here for about 20 minutes at least. This is going to be here for 20-30 minutes or so. So it's perfect for me to now turn my back on them, and for example I can go on the computer for a few minutes and answer some comments on YouTube or answer some sort of Facebook questions and queries, that sort of thing. And of course having my desk in the kitchen means all these beautiful smells are going to keep me company. Actually, I've just remembered I need to chop all the chard, don't I? So enough of the natter. Simmer, boil, chop chard, back in 20 odd minutes. Lovely. Well, this is reduced down nicely now. So I'm just going to add some herbs. Add salt and pepper now as well, if you like salt and pepper. I'm not a huge fan, so I don't. And get hold of your chopped chard, spinach, dandelion leaves, whatever you've used. This is where I always think I'm going to need a bigger bowl. Saucepan. Give those a good scrunch around. Oh, yum. Smell, smell, smell. And my gorgeous cooked ginormous beans. I think that should be the English translation of Gigantes. We'll just call them ginormousies. Go on, give it a good scrunch around. Oh, I should have said, sorry, I forgot to say, the heat is off now. Once your tomato reduction is done, yeah, get the heat off. Good mix. Look at the colours in there, aren't they beautiful? Oh yes, yum scrumdiddly yum. Honestly, the smell already is driving me a little bit nuts. Let me just get rid of, oh ow, stupid girl. Let me just get rid of this pan a second, because now I'm going to get ready to pop it in the oven. I know, who'd have thought it going in the oven? So I'm just going to preheat the oven to 160, just a gentle heat, and get this into a casserole dish. These pans, this is when they're awkward because they're so heavy. Go on, Gertrude, get in there. Oh, I need to have a good scrape around. There's far too much good stuff left in this pan. Like I say, I don't think it's, these cast iron pans are fantastic, but they're not the easiest pans to hold mid-air whilst you're scraping them out. And where's my other glove gone? Oh, whack it down there. There we go. So that's now going to go into the oven for about 30-35 minutes. And I now have to practice the fine art of patience once again. So let's pop that in. Well, I'm going to wait for the oven to come up to temperature. I'll pop it in, and then when I go to get it out, I'll show you then, and we'll have a taste together. But I've got to say, already, that is looking really, really lovely. Ooh. Moment of truth. I'm going to turn the oven off. Oh, yum. Yum, 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 yum. I'm immediately thinking that I need to have some crusty bread to have with this. Oh, yes. Ouch, let me put that down a second. I just know that this is going to be far too hot to try straight away, but I'm gonna. Smell it though. Do you know what? Tomatoes and beans are a match made in heaven, and that chard with it is just, it's so simple but so gorgeous. Do you know, this is piping hot. Obviously it's just come out of the oven. I reckon this would be really lovely when it's just cooled a little bit and it's more warm than piping hot. I love these Gigantes beans though, because they're such a good mouthful and a good chew. I'm going to have another mouthful, excuse me. I'll hyperventilate, fuffing it. That's so beautiful. That is, that's so good. Oh my goodness, I need to get my face in the trough. I think one of the things that's lovely about beans in general, especially if you keep them a little bit al dente, is, you know, so often, not so much these days, but in the past, in years and years and years ago, if I went to a restaurant with friends, eating as a veggie, so much food is just mushy slop. Now, I like my mushy slop if it's soup, then I don't mind it, or if it's a smoothie. But, you know, so often, like I say, there's just no bite to it. And even though I'm a veggie, I still want to chew, I still want to bite. So I love that about beans, that they can give you that. And with these Gigantes, wow, they really, really, really do give it. Oh, I want to have another one. Such a beautiful bean. If you've not grown them before and you'd like to have a go, I got my original seeds from the Real Seed Company. And obviously since then I've been keeping my own seed. Dead easy, they're just like any other climbing bean, runner beans, all that sort of thing. Excuse me, I'm trying to have another mouthful. I'm going to resist, because I always feel it's really rude of me that I'm sort of scoffing away and you're all just watching me stuff my face. Yes, so Real Seed Company is where I got the seed from originally. Grow them like any other climbing bean, pole beans I think you say in the States. The pods, unlike say runners or other beans, they never get to that sort of really, really long length. Generally you'll get 2 beans per pod, sometimes 3, sometimes 1, and occasionally on a really magic day you get 4 beans in a pod. But they're, you know, look, they're dead easy to grow, absolutely dead easy to grow. And in terms of preserving them, sorry, I said I wouldn't have another mouthful, didn't I? So gorgeous. Yes, in terms of preserving them, either dry them like you would dry any other beans, or freeze them as these were, demi-sec. Freezing them demi-sec just means you cut out the whole sort of overnight soak thing and the 2.5 hour boil. So it's a toss-up, isn't it, in terms of fuel use. You know, obviously I'm running the freezer, that costs, but I'm not then doing a 2.5 hour boil. I've got my brain on the bowl of food. Yeah, you're not doing that 2.5 hour boil. However, obviously freezers could break down, so I like to do a little bit of both dried stuff or bottled stuff and frozen. I'm going to have the freezers on anyway, so I might as well chuck some in demi-sec. Right, I'm going to stop talking now because I want to get my face in this bowl, and it would be perfect with some really gorgeous crusty bread to mop up all the juices at the end. I don't have any, so I'm just going to tip the plate up and drink it. Enough already, I need to eat. I'll see you all again really soon, I hope. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves, have fun in your kitchens, have fun in your gardens, get online to see if you can get yourself some Gigantes seed if you haven't already. Happy dreaming of the harvests to come. Take care, everyone.